We're peeling back the curtain on one of the most hyped EVs out there. This is the Lucid Gravity. It's a 3-row all-electric SUV with the most range, the most cargo capacity, and the fastest charging speeds, and every other manufacturer is playing catch up. It starts right around $80,000 and it's setting a whole new benchmark. Today I'll take you behind the scenes inside Lucid HQ. In terms of autonomous driving, do you think that it's important to have both the LiDAR and the cameras? Talk to top engineers and executives to see just how they're achieving all of this. Two people, look at this. Here we go.
It's super chill.
To find out if it's time to trade my Model X for a 7-seat supercar that performs as well as it looks, charges nearly as fast as you can gas up, and of course, we'll take it for a spin.
One of the leading Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers talked about charging, 400 kilometers in 5 minutes. We can do that in 8 minutes, but we do it with a 400 kilowatt charger versus a 1,000 kilowatt charger. And that's in the Lucid Gravity you can buy today.
There are only a handful of EV makers that truly lock in on efficiency at their core, and Lucid is at the top of that list.
This is where we started. I was at Tesla back then too when we launched Model S, so I learned a lot what to do and what not to do.
I'm so excited. I'm finally getting my hands on the Lucid Gravity. Right off the bat, you can see that it's extremely aerodynamic shape. If you're looking at the dash to axle ratio, it's actually relatively small, and size-wise, it's the identical length to the Model X. Now, from the side, a lot of people are saying it gives off minivan vibes, and that's probably because of this back corner over here is pretty similar in shape to a Honda Odyssey, but inside, it is nothing like a minivan. It is a futuristic luxury vehicle. The drag coefficient is the lowest drag coefficient of any SUV out there. It's 0.24, and you really see that with the entire design. We have the air curtains right here, and then the overall body of it, everything is designed just to glide with the air. If you've been thinking about picking up a brand new EV and you want to support a nonprofit working for a cleaner environment, this is one of your best chances to do both all year long. We've been working with Seekan Action Fund for years now with their EV raffle, and this year is your best odds to win yet, because every ticket gives you not one, but 3 chances to pick an incredible EV, and the grand prize winner gets to pick from 6 luxury EVs. Rivian R1S SUV or R1T truck, the new Lucid Gravity is also an option, or the Lucid Air, and there's even a Porsche Macan EV or the Taycan. Second prize winner gets to choose between the Hyundai Ioniq 5 or the VW ID Buzz, and this year even the third prize winner is getting the Chevy Equinox EV. Only 10,000 tickets are being sold, and tickets are only $200 and support Seekan Action Fund's mission to fight for cleaner air and healthier environment. And even better, the group covers state and federal taxes and tariffs, no problem, because they actually cover that too. Head on over to www.evraffle.org to get your ticket. That's evraffle.org, or check the description for 3 chances to get the EV of your dreams. All right, let's get back to the video.
Obviously, Tesla is one choice. All the other OEMs, as you can see, are bringing up their choice. And we wanted to do right engineered EV, not just an EV that follows the traditional way of doing things, right? Oh, we need a long hood, and then we could do this, we do that. Like everybody's doing that. We said we can fundamentally change the value proposition for the customer. And we can put the customer front and center in our products and use this advancement in technology to shape the car around them. We miniaturize the powertrain, reshape the proportions of the car, have a cab forward design, make that look super beautiful and timeless. We create space inside the vehicle that nobody else has ever managed to put into that car.
I want to talk a little bit about battery and charging. That's really what sets this apart from anything else. The battery on here is 123 kilowatt hours. Now again, the range is 450 miles, which puts it in a similar place as the Escalade IQ, but the battery pack is 100 kilowatt hours smaller. So it's all about efficiency when it comes to this vehicle, outside and inside. And then check it out. Native NACS on the right side. This is the first vehicle to natively have NACS built into it. And again, it charges faster than a Tesla at Tesla chargers.
Here you see a couple competitors. This is our battery module that powers air as well as gravity, so it's a modular structure. We're able to change the topology between air and gravity because of these modules.
What's in the Gravity is actually a new cell that we co-developed with Panasonic, so that's a really interesting innovation. So what that allows us to do, that in-house collaborative design, It gives us the ability to have faster charging, but also high energy density. You'll notice that there's some other EVs out there like Porsche who put a lot of energy in very quickly or take a lot of energy out. When you do that, you basically have a cathode that needs more material on it to be able to take the heat, but you give up energy density that way. So this is the cell that's in the Lucid Gravity there's a lot more balance to it, but it means that when you actually charge the vehicle, you can get 200 miles of range in under 11 minutes. So that's incredible. And 450 miles of EPA rated range. So it's like nobody else has that combination.
I will tell you in person, I like it more than I liked it in pictures. It has more of a sporty feel to it in person. And the other thing about that minivan style look is it's actually coming back again. If you go to Asia, the minivan look is very, very popular. So it doesn't bother me like it might bother other people. I know in the US that big boxy look is very popular, but again, that's not efficient. And this design is all about efficiency. And to me, that's pretty cool. The Gravity checks off almost every box for a full-size electric SUV. Its drag coefficient of 0.24 makes it one of the slipperiest SUVs ever built. And its powertrain and batteries are one of the smallest and most efficient designs.
This looks like a big headlamp. This looks a little bit smaller. From a light output perspective, this has a little bit more light output and has dramatically more homogeneous light output. Key thing is it's shallower and it's voluminously smaller, which gives us a larger front trunk.
All right, let's talk about space because look at this front trunk. It's 8.1 cubic feet and it has a lot of cool features to it. So this is an accessory right here. It opens up. Look at this. It's cushiony. You can sit inside of here. Actually, 2 adults can sit inside of here comfortably. We have charging options. There's cup holders right here with drains inside of them. And it's just very cozy. And what's cool about this is if you're taking something along for the ride with you, put your groceries in here. They're not gonna roll around. And for us parents out there, this is the perfect changing table right here. It's padded. Your baby's not gonna roll out of the car. Gives you a little privacy. There's even a little spot right here for your wipes. I love this accessory. This is definitely something that you need if you have a baby. In fact, driving the Gravity is an experience all its own. It embraces craftsmanship while giving you dynamic performance with no compromises. And even here on the roads of the Bay Area, people take notice. Motorcycles in California kind of sneak up behind you and freak you out. Oh, does he want to race? Hi.
Driving the Gravity.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. First time seeing one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Thanks. I was like, uh-oh, did I cut him off? And like, he wanted to yell at me. You never know.
This one, again, please be careful with the names. We don't want to diss anybody.
Guys,
That's
I
not
love
what it's
how-
about. But then people believe, oh, this guy has a power density of 2.6 horsepower per kilograms. Lucid has 9 horsepower per kilograms. That means our drive unit is utterly lighter. That makes the car better.
Is it difficult when you see car companies coming out with their new EV and talking about it and you're like, oh my gosh, like they're going so wrong. Like why are they not being more innovative and like doing some of these things?
Of course, us being a technology provider, we could enable other OEMs to purchase our technology to have more advantage on the power density side, on the capability side, as well as the packaging, and all the advantages they could license or buy from us. As said, every OEM makes their own choices. Being an engineer myself, it's hard to just adapt something from the outside because we're all very, very proud.
Why are other companies not investing in doing this kind of research with their vehicles? Like I feel like they're falling behind.
I can only speak for Lucid, but I will say that I think Lucid is at the forefront of technology for EVs. You know, if you look at the facts, the specs of the vehicles, you can't deny the specs. You know, we have the longest range EV, we have the most efficient EVs, we have the most space inside for a given footprint. And I think those are really important factors.
We gotta look inside of this because the cargo capacity will blow you away. So we have 120 cubic feet on the inside of it. Now keep in mind, Model X is 91 cubic feet, Rivian is 101 cubic feet, and IQ is negligibly more, but again, you have 3 more feet on the IQ, where this is all in this compact shape to give you all this cargo capacity. And I don't think any of them use it in such a creative way. So check this out. This is gonna blow your mind. We have this sub trunk down here, all this extra storage, and put it up, tuck it away. Nice little spot right there. If you're putting your groceries in, you can do another layer down below. Look what I can do next. Put this down, pull, put it down, you pull, put it down. Now, say you want a flat bed, you know, you have to put something big in here. This easily goes into the floor. Also, the floor height is significantly lower, so if you have something heavy, you don't have to lift it up as high to be able to put it into your car. Again, this is completely flat here, but then the second row right here, I actually want you guys to come around to the side and see what happens. I'm gonna press these buttons right here, but check this out. You ready for me? Look at the driver's seat. Did you see what just happened there? It automatically adjusted the driver's seat to be able to put that second row down. Again, we'll do it right here. And now it folds completely flat. They have accessories. They have a bed that you can put in here if you want to go camping. It fits a surfboard. It fits 8 suitcases. So much space. I mean, if you are back here laying down, comfortably lay, and I'm 5'5", but I have tons of extra space in here, and then I have this huge window. All of this space is possible because of the engineering that has gone into the drive unit and the batteries.
You see the front drive unit packaged vertically so that we can have a very long and large front trunk. Had we flipped it down, the front would have been shorter. We essentially stood it up so that we get more trunk space. Then you see the charging equipment right behind, super tightly packaged, structurally integrated. And this is the same layout essentially that we have in Gravity. Here you can just access it, and it's slightly bigger in Gravity because it's a taller vehicle. So, but in principle, this is the architecture on the front. Then here you see how we position the battery modules. On Air, we've got 2 battery pack configurations that have a big customer benefit. On the lower range version, we can drop the heel of the second row driver another 70 millimeters or so, which gives you a more relaxed posture. So it's really geared towards insanely good occupant packaging. If you want to have about 100 miles more range, then you go for the Grand Touring version, where we fill this space with battery modules. Gets a little bit tighter from a heel to hip perspective. It's not bad because we've got a long leg room, but you get 100 plus miles extra range. And then the rear, we've got the second drive unit, or the rear drive unit, and you see that one's flipped down because we want to have a lot of clearing height for luggage to go in, and therefore the length of the drive unit is not as important. So we use our modules intelligently to solve for what is important for that area. And so the Gravity has the same topology, rear drive unit, front drive unit, and battery modules. But under here in Air, we've got 2 battery modules that we've moved to under the front seat on Gravity, because we want a flat floor in the rear so that you can get into the third row. And underneath the front seat, because we had to lift them up, because you sit more in a command position on Gravity, we had space for those batteries. So we're using the same modules, but we're shifting them for the customer benefit. We've got a car that's about an inch shorter than an Audi Q7. It's much shorter than a BMW X7 or a Mercedes GLS. So it's fairly short, but inside it's got more legroom between the accelerator pedal and the third row backrest than a Cadillac Escalade long wheelbase.
That's crazy.
A lot of legroom and space for the occupants, although the car didn't have to be massive. That other thing is like 20 inches longer. And then it becomes unmaneuverable. It's a choice, and some love it, and that's okay. But this thing is more maneuverable, it's a little tighter, fits in your garage, actually.
And you have like rear wheel steering, so that you can maneuver it super easy.
Exactly. In our accessory or optional ride and handling package, we add a triple active air spring, which is amazing to drive. I'll get to that shortly. We've got active rear steer, a split actuator system, in order not to compromise the legroom in the third row on every vehicle. It's a split system. So normally between the wheels in the center you've got a steering gear. It's just a similar steering gear like in the front, right?
Yeah.
It's like a rack and pinion system or so, right? And in order to not have that thing cross in front of your heels, or where your heels should go, we have half the actuator on either side. So we've got two actuators. Some super sports cars have that. We put it in because it's an optional system. It enables individual, slightly different turning radii, which is again better for vehicle dynamics. And it does not compromise every vehicle that doesn't have active rear steer. So we make smart choices, try to solve for the owner of the vehicle, because they really want the best vehicle for whichever price point they've paid.
Second row time. So right now we have 3 across, but you can put this down. We have cup holders. There's a little extra space right here for whatever you want to store in there. What I love about these particularly is this tray table. So there's a little button right here, and it's kind of like you're on an airplane. And there's USB-C right here. This is the perfect spot for USB-C, because if you have kids, you'll know when the USB-Cs are down here, they get broken off constantly. Here, you can just plug your device in, and you can actually prop it up either right here or right here. So it's a really nice place to be able to watch whatever you want to watch, eat, do homework, whatever you need. You have a tray table for it. You can also watch infotainment right here on this screen, as well as control your own HVAC, so you don't have people fighting over temperatures and different things like that.
Adjustable height air spring. As said, it's a triple active system if you go with the ride and handling package, and we can change the stiffness of the air spring in 3 steps. And with that, together with the semi-active damper systems, we've got so many levers to make that suspension, the ride, the handling insanely competent on the racetrack, and absolutely smooth when you're just cruising down to LA or wherever you're traveling with a family. Whilst mechanically and packaging wise the Lucid Gravity is phenomenal, this is a fully software-defined vehicle, just as Air is. Right? Fully software-defined means that we've got a central compute architecture, that we've got very high power processors, whether it's for the body controls, right, for all the chassis functions, all the brake functions, steering, and so on, or for the infotainment system, where we've got a Qualcomm 8295, so very high compute power processor, which is important for the visual experience, for the media that we can play, the apps that we can play. On this 34-inch OLED. Right? This is a single-piece OLED, shaped, as you can see, to make it just beautifully floating inside the interior. I just see Derek has joined. He's going to talk about design. I'm talking about the technicality of this being a super slim. It's a super slim screen OLED. That's an OLED 2, 6K, powered by a very powerful processor. We've got a redundant ADAS computer already in Gravity. It's got 2 Orin X computers inside, so that if one were to pass out, the other one can take over. So it's a fully redundant, very high compute heavy system in this car. It's super
So do you
capable.
feel like it is future proof in terms of where you're headed with full self-driving and being autonomous in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Gravity platform is super capable, very highly equipped, as I said, with processing power and the sensor suite, very similar to Air. Air is still on a prior generation of compute processors. For the ADAS, it's 2 Xaviers, that's the prior version. And they will continue to evolve, right? So we have to be able to be modular and upgrading. This car is fully over-the-air upgradable, updatable into every single ECU. It's all under our control. That's why we can make the driving experience, feature experience, and all the behaviors better over time, all the time.
Where are the sensors located throughout the vehicle?
First of all, you've got 2 sensors looking at you. You've got a
here.
driver monitoring system camera here and up there, because we need to make sure in a redundant system that one of those cameras knows where you're looking at every given time. Right? So that is where you really need to take it if you were to do a level 3 system. You need redundancy in sensors and systems, compute, etc., and network and power supply architecture, which is all built in already. Then those were the sensors essentially inside the car. Obviously, the car also knows that you're sitting in the seat. There's a sensor there. There's a sensor in every single seat. So that's internal sensing. Now outside, we've got cameras here, cameras down here, cameras here, cameras in front here on the windshield. We've got cameras in the nose. We've got the LiDAR in the nose. We've got a long-range radar in the nose. We've got 4 mid-range radars on the corners of the car. We've got cameras in the back to look out the back. So the car is 360 degrees monitored by cameras and radars, and the LiDAR looks out forward.
To have the system with the LiDAR and the cameras and the vision in terms of autonomous driving, do you think that it's important to have both the LiDAR and the cameras?
We think so. We think it's all about the safety for the person that's in the car, and we owe it to them to make sure that under all conditions they can get the car to react the way they expect it to. So just imagine a camera gets blinded by sun. If you can't switch that camera on or get the camera to be unblinded fast enough, then maybe you lose those frames of vision that may be vital. If something falls onto your camera or blocks the camera, then you can't see anything through that camera and you lose that. Now you are relying on your radars if you have them. So the radars are the second line of defense. If you're going straight at high speeds, maybe the radar signal gets bounced off in a way that just doesn't tell us everything, and then the LiDAR has an additional level of safety. The LiDAR is actually an active optical system. It sends out light and gets a return signal, whereas a camera is a passive system. It depends on reflections of the environment. So with this twin modality of the optical sensing, we actually have redundancy and a better coverage. Maybe one day we can get rid of one of them, I don't know, but right now we want to do the right thing for the customers.
Okay, even though it probably costs, there's some added cost definitely to have
absolutely, it costs extra, but I don't think we'd want to compromise for that little amount for the safety of the occupants.
Okay. Eric certainly talked about kind of our drivetrains and how everything's miniaturized. So here is an example of like what you can do with that extra space, you know. So this was really about opening this up, but then also utilizing between the headlights to get this lower, make it easier to load stuff. And then the big payoff is of course the seating capability. So this comes down and it's actually super comfortable. You can like chill here. We have cup holders.
That's so cool. And 2 people, right?
2 people.
This is an accessory.
This is an accessory, and it serves a double purpose. You can just lift it out.
Yeah.
So but it's also cargo retention. So you just put this up, tuck this in, put the little bands on, and so like if you have like groceries or whatever, you know this is going to keep it from like flying all over the place. So that's how I'm even using this right now, and I always put my groceries up here because it's like it's more contained than in the back of the car. So that's the power. That's the AC power outlet. So you can plug in like a little heater or a speaker. The hook's on the back here, so you could, when you're not using this, we have cargo nets that can also be used. If you just, like let's say you're going on a ski trip and you just need to max out for cargo, that will retain whatever's in there. The interesting thing about this is like, this was conceived from the beginning, so like we had to design even the headlight size and to get this as wide as possible so 2 people could sit in here. So there was a lot of forethought that went into the design of the vehicle to be able to accommodate features like this. We saved this area for cargo to maximize the front area and then keep the cabin really, really sleek for aerodynamics and still be able to clear headroom in the 3rd row, because that's where what we found is a lot of compromise for many of the sportier 3-row SUVs. The trade-off is very little space in the 3rd row. So we wanted to make sure that we optimized for that. And I had mentioned, I had 2 kids, and so we've had our fair share of 3-row SUVs over the years, and I always felt like I was giving up something with all of them. And so the goal here was really to go through and optimize all the things that really mattered the most to people. And let's be honest, if you're buying a 3-row SUV, it's usually because you have a family of some sort. Yeah. So we wanted to be very thoughtful with that while still keeping the car sporty, elegant, you know, appropriate for all occasions kind of kind of look and feel. What we found after designing Air is that a lot of the times, and this is true in 99% of vehicles, the steering wheel blocks a lot of the display because you're kind of viewing the core display through the steering wheel. And so we were like, couldn't we like reproportion things for the gravity so we look at the screen over the steering wheel? So that led to this long 1.5-year project of reshaping the steering wheel to kind of reduce it in height, bring it lower down, and then bring the screen up higher so it's just below your view of the road. So the benefit here is I get uninterrupted view of the screen. The screen is positioned so I can look at the road, look at the screen, look at the road. It's really close, so it's not like I'm looking here and then looking here and then looking here. It's really great for driving. In addition to that, the steering wheel is placed for this really sporty kind of driving experience, so you can drive it like this, or if you're in chill, I drive like this a lot, just kind of like the gangster style, you know, but it's a big step for us, and I think it's, in many ways, it's a breakthrough for vehicle usability. And so that was the first step. The second step was these kind of tactile touchpads, so being able to scroll through applications here or be able to go straight there. We can also scroll through horizontally, so we can go through last played,
so cool.
which is super cool.
It's like a little mouse.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. We took inspiration from a particular TV remote, a very well-known one, because it has that you can swipe through, you know, and it's like, well, that would give us like a lot of flexibility. Also, it would kind of future-proof whatever other applications we come up with, we could integrate here. Same thing. When I get a notification about, I don't know, tire pressure, I can swipe that away. And we're gonna add a lot more to this. Or if someone calls, you get a notification that comes down, you can either answer it or just swipe it away.
Now, for someone like myself who tests a new EV almost every single week of the year, spending an afternoon with the Gravity and chatting with Lucid execs was pretty clear this vehicle may objectively be one of the very best engineered 3-row SUVs we've ever tested, electric or not. The attention to detail to perfect every important feature from cabin and cargo capacity. So is that just, it's magnetic.
Yeah, it's magnetic, so that it doesn't rattle, move out of place.
To range and charging speeds, and the implementation of software with hardware is really in a league of its own.
Another big breakthrough, I think, with Gravity was multitasking. So like, for example, if I want to navigate up top, I can open nav and I can stay on home screen down below, or we can leave music on down here. So, and vice versa. If I want to go to nav here, I go to nav here, and I have music here, you know? So that was like a big plus for us, being able to do that. We can also do features like that. I can swipe music down to here, or I can swipe navigation down to here.
I love
so
that.
You have that work through. So it's really like, how do you want to use it? Because it's all there for you. I personally always leave it on my home screen, unless I'm like doing a long travel and I want to have a big overview of navigation here. I can also use the smaller layout up here and keep this in 3D mode and keep this in top mode.
Driving impressions, you drove it for a little bit. I've been driving it probably a little more than you have. Very comfortable drive. We just drove it up this windy road and it was fun. I didn't feel any body roll.
Yeah, the driving characteristics for me, you immediately feel that this kind of stands in a class of its own when it comes to how it's been engineered, because the dynamics, the intelligent torque distribution, all of this with now an air suspension that's in the Gravity that's actually not in the Lucid Air. So put that all together, it's incredibly well damped, it handles corners incredibly well, body control is in check as well. And of course, you have various modes from smooth to swift to sprint that also allow for that dynamic adjustment. So you can be on the highway and you may only have the front motors automatically engaged for efficiency, because Lucid, as we know, has historically really honed in on efficiency, max range, max performance, and maximizing on those elements. And as you spoke to the engineers, we got to see exactly how they were able to achieve some of these incredible features, characteristics, and specs out of this vehicle.
Yeah. Also, when you get on the highway and you're in smooth or swift, as you approach around 60 miles per hour, it actually adjusts that air suspension to be more aerodynamic, and it's something you don't even have to think about. It just does it automatically for you, which I love that. I mean, it not only do they have, you know, this 450 mile range, but they're still thinking of ways to optimize it.
Yeah. So you have 450 miles range, you're getting 0.24 coefficient drag. And we know with the Lucid Air, of course, they had that record-setting coefficient drag, which I believe is still the record for a sedan. So then they bring in the Gravity at 0.24, get this incredible efficiency out of it as well. And then the charging characteristics, the interior dimensions and space that comes with it. To me, this, for really the value, because you are paying a lot of money, realistically, you know, even if you try to spec this at the 80,000, once you're out the door, you're probably going to be north of 90, closer to $100,000. So for me, this feels, drives, and looks like a $100,000 car, where not a lot of EVs, you know, even in that price point, check off all those boxes.
I agree with that. Also, I wanted to say one more thing about the regen braking. So you have 3 different levels of regen braking, and the strong is serious one pedal driving.
Yeah.
And I love it. I've been driving EVs for a long time now, but it's nice that they do have the option if you're not someone that likes a strong regen. But for me, it is probably one of the strongest regen I've ever felt.
And again, that goes back to efficiency being at the heart of this vehicle. So that's in part how you're able to maximize and squeeze out 450 miles out of a 123 kilowatt hour battery pack, because you take a look at a vehicle that has similar interior dimensions but is significantly longer, I think 2.5 feet longer, which is the Escalade IQ, and fits in this category of north of $100,000 luxury EV, 3-row SUVs. And that one has a 225 kilowatt hour battery pack for 10 miles more range, for 460 miles of range. So put that together, again, it kind of shows you how the Gravity really separates itself from the pack when it comes to those metrics.
Yeah, so if you're looking at getting a 3-row electric, all-electric SUV, you're definitely looking at the Gravity for sure. You're looking at Model X, you're looking at Rivian R1S, you're probably looking at, no, Mercedes is not 3-row, is it?
The EQS, yeah, you're right. The EQS, I don't believe, has a 3-row option.
Yeah,
but
so
I mean the luxury tier, yes. I mean, if
you're
you're
looking at the IQ.
Yep. But is the Rivian and the Model X in the luxury tier? It's in the premium tier. Maybe the Rivian more so.
I think you're still going to be looking at them.
Yeah.
They're still, you know, if you're going to go off-roading, Rivian, you know, has higher suspension. That might be something you're looking at. And then you do have that 3rd-row option, where this is more, it does have that suspension like you said, but maybe not the best for off-roading, but they have a new terrain mode that's coming.
And additionally too, when you think about how quiet this cabin is, an incredible job engineering around that as well. Even the motor noise, you know, it's almost non-existent. With the Lucid Air, there's some motor whine, which a lot of people enjoy. I kind of like having a little bit of motor noise where you feel the vehicle a bit and gives it a little bit more heart. They've really gone ultra luxury in this space here, where they've fine-tuned that to where there's no discernible noise. I mean, I think earlier you were talking about how the turn signal creates more noise than what you're able to hear outside this cabin. It is just mind-blowingly quiet inside the Gravity.
Yeah. Also, the massaging seats are like chef's kiss right there. I will say they're extremely comfortable. I really enjoyed them. And then you have these little tranquility, you know, screens and breathing and relaxation things. So like if you are someone that's like has a high stress job, or your kids are driving you crazy and you're like, okay,
I'm just gonna
let's stop and I
go into your Gravity and chill out in a little bit.
Yeah, you really could, for sure. It has a lot of fun little features like that. And definitely, like we said before, it just feels extremely premium. The materials that they've used in here, you know, it's a different look. Like if you're looking at Mercedes, you know, you might be into that more luxury type feel, but this is more of like this mid-century modern meets futuristic luxury.
Yes, because the EQS SUV that we've driven and tested as well, it definitely gives you a wow factor with all the ambient lighting, and this has it as well. It's daytime, of course, but you know that really gives you the wow factor that you expect out of a German Mercedes luxury SUV. This kind of takes more of the Tesla approach, where it's more software based, it's less buttons and more intuitive with screens. Of course, you've got the 6K 34-inch OLED screen. You've got the center screen, which by the way was vertical in the Lucid Air. Now it's become more of a landscape, horizontal mode as well. And then you've got what I believe the engineers referred to this as being inspired maybe by an Apple remote control where you're able to slide your fingers on the Apple TV remote.
And the materials just feel premium inside
Yes.
too. Like this is like an Alcantara type texturized, I don't know, how would you describe that? Tell me to pay attention right now while I'm feeling it. The base is right around $80,000, which when you look at that price range, that's pretty good. I feel like it sounds like a lot of money, but for what you can get at $80,000, it's very competitive.
Yes, I believe the range at that point is going to be in the high 300s, or low 400s. So that's what you're getting at the entry. I think it's $79,990. And of course, after you configure it and after getting out the door, probably closer to $90,000. And then you can get to the higher trims, the
way
touring
I configure it, it's probably going to be like $120,000.
That's the top of the line trim, yes. So, and that gets you the maximum range, gets you the massaging seats and all the other bells and whistles that are available in this vehicle. But at that $80,000 price point, you're actually now in that same price point as the high-end, I believe the GT, even of the EV9, the GT version of the EV9. Of course, you've got the Vistic that's in that price point. The Ioniq 9 is in that price point. Certainly the Model X and also the Rivian are in that price point as well. And both the X and the Rivian get up into the 100s and 120s even. Certainly with the Rivian's new Dune edition, that's the one. And the Escalade IQ is also in that 120.
Well, that's
so you're really
even more.
So you're really in the heart of that price point.
But this, I would say, offers a lot more. It offers more range, more cargo capacity. Maybe the IQ has slightly more. But this one, in terms of cargo capacity, range, charging speeds.
Yeah. All the top important metrics for a family SUV, it has to be cargo capacity, then it has to be range and charging speed, whether you know it or not. From our experience of having driven only EVs for well over a decade now, charging speed, most people don't think about that. They don't look at how many kilowatt the charging is and how many miles you can get in 10 or 20 minutes. But unfortunately, there are EVs out there in that price point we just talked about, like the Vistic, that have 190 kilowatt peak charging rate, that'll be significantly slower than this. I mean, this is literally more than 2 times faster at charging than something like a Vistic.
Yeah, and it holds that peak.
Exactly.
Which is unheard of. Also the front trunk, okay? A lot of these EVs are doing away with their front trunks. And for me, that is an important thing to have. I use our front trunk. You can fit a stroller up there and just like forget about it and have it in that front trunk. You can use that for tailgating. We put any kind of takeout food in the front trunk so you don't have to smell it inside the cabin of your vehicle. It's something that we use all the time.
Yes, 8 cubic feet of storage space in the front trunk. It's automated as well. Like you said, it's got the cup holders with drains in them. So there's just a lot of value that comes from it. And again, if you haven't had an EV before, those are not things that maybe you give as much value. But once you have it, especially with a family, and you've talked about how changing diapers in there becomes a critical thing, and it's got this soft cushioned area where you can sit up to 2 adults, I believe, in there as well. So there's just a lot of value in that from a day-to-day perspective of owning a vehicle like this.
Honestly, I was looking at it and I felt like you could maybe even fit like your golf clubs inside of it. I mean, it's a big space and it's just so thoughtfully designed. We're reviewing these EVs and sometimes I open up the hood and I wonder, why is there no front trunk? If you took some of these components and you just push them around in different places, there is space. And I love that they've thought about that, and they think about it too, even with the lights, the headlights, and the way where they position everything. The headlight so thought out.
Shape and position is actually a significant reason to why you have the storage space. I mean, all of these things take time, take money, take resources, and take engineering. And yes, some automakers don't see as much value. I think one of them told us their research has shown that most people don't use that space, but most people probably are not even coming, from a car that has that space to begin with.
I would love them to poll people that have been driving EVs with it, and see where that, and families. As a 3-time Tesla Model X owner that loves my car, I was very excited to see what Tesla would bring to the refreshed Model X. Obviously, news of the refresh just came out and it fell short on a lot of expectations when it comes to desired features that frankly a lot of EVs in this segment are starting to offer, especially given the price delta of the Gravity and Model X not being that far apart. We've been driving our Model X now for 10 years, not the same one, we're on our 3rd one, but we've been driving a Model X for about 10 years. Are we at the point where we're ready to switch, and would this be it?
Well, the NACS port is everything, and in this vehicle, as you've mentioned, it's in the right area. It's at least favorable to more the Tesla network on that driver's side rear. For me, the range, the efficiency, which is huge for me, the front trunk, there really doesn't have an area where it lacks besides the self-driving capabilities. So that's going to remain to be seen. I love that it has LiDAR, that's more reassuring as far as possibly future-proofing it if it is something that, the vision is not the end-all be-all.
We've heard some of these claims before, like it's future-proof, so sometimes you do get a little jaded, but I do feel like they have put so much into these,
the hardware,
the hardware to make them future-proof, so that when you buy this and then they release these updates, the UI gets better.
The question is, though, how many updates can they, because obviously they're selling the Air and Gravity at a significantly lower volume than the biggest player in self-driving in Tesla down the street. So, and Tesla is able to get billions of miles of data constantly fed at any given day into their vehicles, where for Lucid to do that, either they're outsourcing the data from someone else or somewhere else, or they're partnering up with someone to do it. So to me, I don't quite see how quickly that'll happen. So that's the one area that I would miss significantly, especially as we've seen our brand new Model Y get these latest software updates and become nearly perfect on a lot of scenarios. In the limited time we tried the Dream Drive here, there was a little moment here and there where you immediately pick up on, okay,
I would
it's
say
not
Tesla
quite
has it for that, for
Yes.
sure. Like I'll give that to Tesla 100%. But compared to like a lot of other EVs, is probably at a similar point
at a
right
similar
now.
point, yeah.
But they're working towards it. You still haven't answered my question yet, though.
I'm dodging the $120,000 answer that you're looking for.
Yeah. What about the styling? So you have always told me that you like the Model X because of the wings and our tight garage.
Yes.
So the doors in here do open 90 degrees.
Those kids are going to open them all 90 degrees every time, regardless of what's next to you.
Would you prefer it to be like the minivan style doors that slide?
You know what? The whole talk, and you'll make it right over here, Kim, but the whole talk about the aesthetics of this being very much minivan in nature, and I certainly can see that in some angles, but it has grown on me in the last few hours we've spent with it, and at certain angles, it definitely gives you a far more sporty aesthetic than a minivan. So a minivan is almost like, if you want to make fun of it, you call it, hey, it looks like a minivan. But I understand why they did that. The engineers told us this design is the perfect solution to maximizing interior cargo capacity, and that's of course a huge part of a family 3-row SUV. So they've kind of leaned in on that and made that approach, and that also gives you
better
efficiency.
in person. I feel like it does look better in person when you see it.
Yes.
In pictures, you're like, oh, I can see this minivan resemblance. But here's the other thing. That minivan look that a lot of people don't like in North America is actually very popular. Like when you
in
go
other
to
parts
Asia,
of the world, yeah.
In other parts of the world, that minivan look it's making a comeback, and it probably will make a comeback here in North America too. And it might start with this vehicle.
So to answer your question, yes, I would say this would be the vehicle out of everything. And we've tested, 50 different EVs.
I think we just need a bigger garage. Maybe we need a new house.
Well, are you talking about it because of the door? Because the length of this is identical to the Model X. So
it's more the door issue.
It's the door. It's very tight as far as opening the door, and we know for a fact our kids are going to swing them full speed.
I mean, the funny thing is, our neighbors, who knows if they're watching this right now, they switched out their Model X for a Rivian R1S, and now they're like, I want a bigger garage.
Yes.
So, I think about that all the time. So I'm curious from you guys, from everything you've seen today, we've heard engineers speak, we've talked to designers, you've heard our impressions. What are the things that would make you want to buy this? What do you think they need to improve on? And if you have any dislikes, what are those? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know if you think that we should take that plunge and go for something new. We'll still keep our Model Y. We'll still always have a Tesla. I love our Tesla. But I'm ready to try something different.
I think it's a good time to transition into a competitor EV just to get a good feel how they're progressing as time goes on.
Yeah, there's so much more to show you about the Lucid Gravity, from relaxation mode to its augmented reality HUD, and really no better way to do it than get the entire family inside and show you a real world scenario. If you feel we've earned it, be sure you're subscribed, and we're working on that now, and we'll have much more to come with the Gravity, and we'll catch you next time.